water seems to have special significance in Islam.
Yes.
What is so special about it? How can we discover more about the secrets of water?
Oh, water is amazing. This needs a lecture. So, but basically, water is the origin of life. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. Everything which has life is from water. And even when Allah wanted to make Adam, He made Adam from clay, which means soil with water. There's water in our creation. But also for spirituality, spiritual life also comes from water. We have, wudu, we have, ghusl. Not only in Islam, in other, religions, Abrahamic religions also, they have ablution. So how this water, is transformed into light. In some lectures about the secrets of, prayer, I have explained this. About wuzu, al-wuzu, nur, on every drop of, water becomes light. And in Islamic symbolism, when, for example, if you dream of water, it's normally signifying knowledge, hikmah. There are lots of things about water. Is one of the greatest blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fact that He has created water, it's tahir, it's mutahhir, physically, spiritually, ritually. So not only you can wash things with water, also ritually it makes things clean, and also spiritually. So it's amazing. Maybe inshallah one time I can talk about water, inshallah, give a lecture about water. In some lectures about environment I have given a little, references, but maybe we can talk more about water, inshallah.
Inshallah, we look forward to it. The second
Inshallah.
question, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please could you
Alaikum
expand
assalam wa
on
rahmatullahi wa
why
barakatuh.
the repeated verse is important in each individual case? Thank you.
Yeah. One explanation, there are different possibilities, but one explanation is that forgetfulness is one of huge problems that we have. Indeed, all our problems maybe go back to two things: nisyan and ghafla. Either we forget or we become heedless. And therefore the solution is dhikr, means to remember, which means not to forget and not to neglect. Okay? So, one of the things that we tend to forget or neglect is the fact that Allah has given us many blessings. So, Allah in this surah keeps mentioning some of His blessings, some of His signs in the creation, and reminding us that we should remember them. Which of these you can reject, which of these you can neglect, you can forget. So this repetition is like a tablet or medicine that you take, and they say you have to take it, for example, antibiotics, every 8 hours for a week you have to take this. But this is not a repetition in the sense that you are repeating. It looks like repetition, but indeed all of them together is one treatment. Did you get my point? On the surface we think we are repeating, but in reality we are bringing similar thing, not the same thing, and make one unit. And if you don't do it properly, it's not going to work. Or for example, you bring lots of bricks put together and make a, for example, house. But you are not repeating. Someone who has very narrow vision and sight and looks at the bricks says, yes, you are repeating, bringing bricks after bricks. But if you look at the whole thing, we are not repeating. Everything has to be in a certain place. Therefore, these repetitions are not really repeating the same thing. These are similar things that are put next to each other to make a unit. Like Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is not repeated. We believe every Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim was revealed separately. Here also every فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ was revealed separately. It's not copy-pasted.
Subhanallah, that was such a beautiful analogy.
Alhamdulillah.
Subhanallah.
Alhamdulillah.
Now more and more questions are coming, so I don't know.
Alhamdulillah.
So please let us know about the time. Another question. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykhana. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your knowledge with us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always bless you and your family. I wanted to ask, how can a person better manifest their servanthood, ubudiyya, in their life?
Oh, amazing. You make very good questions, but yeah, I try to do a little justice, but I cannot do justice. Sorry for my lack of ability to do justice to such great questions, because they need lots of time. So maybe I mention one point among many points. If we want to be servant, I think the main thing about a servant is that you forget your own wishes, your own preferences. You cannot be a servant and a master at the same time. Unfortunately, many times we try to be masters and servant of Allah. Therefore, we have our own preferences. We keep bargaining, negotiating with Allah, or secretly do our own things but register in His name. I do what I like, but I did it for you. For example, if I like to go to ziyarah or umrah or etc., and there is a priority, maybe Allah wants the other thing. This is mustahab, that may be wajib, for example, but I want to do this one. I say, I am doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even if I do the other thing, but I don't get the same pleasure like when I'm going and doing the other thing that I enjoy myself. So this is really a challenge. Like for example, just today I was thinking, that for example, now I am for more than 50 days, here, and sometimes 2-3 days I don't go out of house, sometimes I go just 1 hour, 2 hours. If I was, for example, in Karbala or Najaf or, Medina for 50 days, maybe was so happy and so feeling so high in my spirituality maybe, but now maybe I feel not that much high. This is the test for being a servant. If Allah wants me to be here, I should be feeling very happy that this is what Allah wanted me to do, more than when I am in Mashhad or Karbala, etc. But if no, I have my own preferences, and when they meet Allah's, also will, I am happy. When they don't meet His will, I'm not happy, because I have not reached my own preferences. This means I am not a servant. So a servant forgets his or her own preferences, decisions, priorities, relations. This is from my family, this is not from my family, but it's a valley of, remember the hadith of Hazrat Musa that we talk about in social wilayah, that when Allah said, what have you done for me? And Musa mentioned salat, zakat, etc. And Allah said, these are giving these benefits to you. Then Musa was surprised, and perplexed. So he said, Dullani ala al-amal alladhi huwa lak. Please, you tell me then what is the action that is for you. Then Allah said, Hal walayta li waliya wa aadayta li aduwa. Your wilaya, your relation with people, or connection or disconnection, whether walaya or adawa, was it for me, or was because, for example, someone was from your own family or your own community, you were very happy, but someone with the same iman or even better, but was speaking another language, for example, different color, etc., you were not happy. Or you had political, for example, similarities, you were very close, but someone didn't think like you politically, you disregarded his wilaya. So servant needs to only consider what Mawla wants, what Mawla is pleased with, who are the friends of my master, who are the enemies of my master. If someone is friend of my master, is my friend. If he's enemy of my master, is my enemy. I don't have personal relation with anyone. Anything is based on Mawla. So if we reach this level of servitude, then what happens is that you lose your ego, you lose your limited self, and then you become so great that Allah will manifest in you. Al-ubudiyyatu jawharatun kunhuha ar-rububiyyah. Then your pleasure is the sign of Allah's pleasure. But this is not easy. First, you have to think about His pleasure, and then you reach the point that from your pleasure, Allah shows people, what He is pleased with. Lady Fatima, for example, is an example. That إن الله يرضى لرضاها or يغضب لغضبها أمير المؤمنين, but also other mu'mineen, good mu'mineen, pious mu'mineen. When they are pleased, Allah is pleased. If they make dua for us, their dua will not be rejected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because these are the people that for tens of years they emptied themselves from any selfish decision, any selfish preference. So if they say something and they mean it, like a prayer, like advice, then Allah puts a special power in that. They become mustajab al-da'wah, they become manifestations of Allah's will, Allah's wisdom. So this is where we can reach. Or Hadith Qudsi, we have it self-knowledge also. Abdi at'ni aj'alka mathali. So I am not exaggerating, saying become manifestation. If you obey me, I make you my example. Not mithli, mathali. Because laysa kamithlihi shay. And one of the things is that Ana hayyun la amut aj'alka hayyan la tamut. Ana ghaniyun la aftaqir aj'alka ghaniyan la taftaqir. And whenever I want something, I say kun fayakun. I make you also say kun fayakun. So this is al-ubudiyya jawharatun kunhuha ar-rububiyyah. So first is a matter of sacrifice, but then you realize that you were not sacrificing. You were just prioritizing something important over something which was trivial. You sacrifice, what you wanted to do or go or, eat or drink or mix, with, non-mahram, etc. You think I have to sacrifice. Okay, if you want to call it sacrifice, okay. But then you will realize that actually you gained much more. You didn't sacrifice anything valuable. This is a little answer to your question, inshallah. At least give some.
Do we have still more time, or we go to greetings?
Maybe one more question, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
And teachings, we were discussing with brothers about our body.
Yes.
And there was this question: is our body a living creation on its own, even without our soul governing it? This is because we know that the body parts will testify on the day of judgment.
The body without soul is not living in the materialistic perspective, but in malakut. So everything has malakut. Okay, بيده ملكوت كل شيء. Everything has malakut. In the malakut, everything has life and understanding and love, etc., knowledge. So here, from materialistic perspective, worldly perspective, we say there are living beings, there are non-living beings. Non-living beings like soil, water, I don't know, air. Then living beings, plants, insects, animals, human beings, etc. But in malakuti aspect, even air has life. Water has life. Organs of our body, each parts of our body, they have life, they have understanding, and they can bear witness and offer them their testimony. Even days, weeks, months, they have life, they can bear witnesses on the day of judgment, they can offer their testimony. So everything has life, if you look at it from that perspective. So the way that they are present before Allah is with life, with understanding. The way they are present to us, if we are in dunya, some of them are silent. But if you go to the other side and face them how they face Allah, then everything speaks to you. Everything is doing tasbih, is doing ham, they have understanding, they have love.
Subhanallah. So inshallah we have logged the other question for the next week, inshallah. So now inshallah, maybe we move to greetings. Inshallah, quickly, not to take much from your time, Shaykhana. We start with Sister Adila.
Inshallah. And just one of the things that I'm very eager to see is when, inshallah, if Allah gives us tawfiq to go to heaven, the way you eat and drink in heaven is not like dunya. When you drink water in heaven, this water has life and has understanding and shows love, and you cannot drink it by finishing it. It's a kind of meeting. It's a kind of connection. It's not a consumption. It's different experience than dunya. When I pass by a tree or a flower in heaven, I cannot pass and ignore it. I cannot pass without making a friendship and a kind of relation which is not going to be finished. It's impossible to forget in heaven your friends, your contacts, anything that gave you pleasure. So we cannot understand really what is there except through some words that, like a child, if you want to say to a child, what is for example, happiness of a father or mother whose child is born, for example, if you want to speak to a 3 year, 4 year, 5 years old child, the joy of being a father or mother. They don't understand. You can say it's like, for example, when we give you a toy, you know, how you happy become. Yeah? But getting a toy and getting a child is the same? It's not the same.
Subhanallah. The video froze.
I see.
Right after that.
Maybe I need to restart. But I think it's fine, yeah, because it may take time to